Hello and welcome back. Today I just want us to practice how to create custom datasets in PyTorch using the dataset class. My name is Juma Shafara from Data Idea, and my duty is to bring data science materials closer to you so you can build your dream project sooner. If that's interesting, then let's just jump in and get started. Now, to get us started, I have already imported pandas, and I've imported torch, and I've also imported this dataset class from torch.utils.data. This dataset class is what we are going to be using to create our own custom PyTorch datasets. Now we are going to create our custom dataset from this Boston CSV dataset. It has all these features and the outcome feature as the median value of the price of the house rather. So more about this Boston dataset in the description, but for now let's just jump in and write some code. Now, to create a custom dataset in PyTorch, you just basically need to build a class with three important methods. One, the init method, which we use to define our class, our dataset rather, and then two is the getItem method, which just allows us to access items in the dataset, and then three and final is the len method, which is gonna allow us to use the len method around our inbuilt PyTorch dataset to find the number of samples in the dataset. Now, this is gonna make sense in a little while when we start writing some code. So let's get started. To get started, we are just gonna create our class, and let's just skip some two lines for just organization. So we can call this one Boston dataset, and this one is gonna inherit the dataset class that we have just imported somewhere up here. And then we are gonna define our three methods that are important that we only need for loading custom dataset. The first one is the init method, and this one only takes itself, and under this one we basically just have to define our dataset. So let's just go ahead and define what our dataset is. So we'll just do self.data is equal to, this one is going to be equal to dataset which we can load with pandas. It is a CSV dataset. You can load with pandas or with NumPy, whichever you prefer. I've already imported pandas, so I'm just going to use that. So we'll do pd dot read CSV. So pandas has a method called read CSV that we can use to read a dataset. So the dataset is called boston.csv, and then we need to specify what our features are, x, and what our outcome or our outputs are, that is y. So let's just do that. So let's do self, can type self.x is equals to this is equal to data self.data dot drop. So we can get all the features by dropping out the target. Okay, this is dropping out a column, so we have to specify axis as one. But now here's the thing, we need to convert our dataset here to torch tensor. To do that, we just need to wrap it around our torch dot tensor method, and we need to basically convert the values. So I'm just gonna do dot values here and we are gonna convert to a torch tensor of type float 32. Okay, just like that. So we're just gonna do this one also for y, which is our outcome variable. So this is gonna be also torch dot tensor, and this is gonna be our data dot the median value, which is the outcome variable. And we also need to convert the values under here to torch tensor of float 32. Okay, just like that. So I'm gonna also just do the same here, d type, like that. This is gonna be torch length.float32. Yeah, simple like that. Now finally we need to define the shape of our dataset. So this is gonna be simple. We can just do not the shape but the number of samples in the dataset. So we can do self.samples is equals to data dot, so let's do self.data.shape, and from shape we just want to pick out the first item. The first item will be the number of samples in the entire dataset. Now that we have defined this function, we just have to define two more other important functions. The first one is the second one rather is the get item function or method, and this one just takes in self, and what it's gonna return is it's gonna return a sample. So it will allow us access samples from the dataset. Okay, and the way this is gonna do is it's gonna be x, and we pick out the index that somebody is gonna provide. So let's just add it also here. The index is basically the raw number of the sample that we want, and it's also gonna return the corresponding outcome for that sample. Okay, so we can do self.y, and then we pick the value at the index that somebody has provided. So this is good. Now we only have to create one other function, and then we are done creating our custom dataset class. So let's just do that. The other one is the len method, and what this one does is that it basically just allows us to get the length of our dataset. Okay, so the way this one is gonna work is it's just gonna return the number of samples. Okay, simple. The number of samples is the length of our dataset. Okay, so this is good. Now that we are done creating the function, rather the class, let's just go ahead and create a dataset object from this class, and then we can see how we can use these three methods to play around with our dataset. So let's just do that. Skip 2 lines just to be organized, and then we can create our custom Boston dataset by equating it to by instantiating our class. Simple like that. Now after instantiating our class, we can, for example, get x and get y if we want, but maybe we can also just get a specific the specific row from dataset. So let's just try to get a specific row. Okay, so I'm just gonna do maybe row 1 is equals to Boston dataset, and I'm just gonna pick out 0. So the 0 is row 1 actually. But maybe let me just use 1 so that it just makes the same sense. And then I just want to print out row 1. Okay, like that. So let's just run this. I'm gonna be using the Visual Studio Code Python interactive window. So with that, I just highlight our code and then run only specific parts. So I've imported all those, and let's also just run this dataset class, and then we can instantiate our dataset by running this line, and then we can see out the first row by running that, and we can see the first row is all these features. This is row 1, not the first row, but row 1 is all these features, and then the outcome here as 21.6. If we look at our Boston dataset, actually our outcome for row 1 is 21.6, as you can see. So this is basically how we can access the items real quick. There is another way, but it's out of the scope for this for today's video. Just keep updated so you can get that one also. Okay, now we can also be able to get the number of samples in our dataset by getting the length as the len of the Boston dataset, and then we can basically just print this one out. Okay, length of the dataset. So I'm just gonna add a little underscore, just just for just, and then I can run this. So we can see that the length of the dataset is 506. Okay, this is good. Now in the next video, I'm just gonna show you how to use a data loader, the data loader class, to just wrap an iterable object around our dataset so that we can use it for training our machine learning models faster. Okay, thanks.